Good morning. As promised, here is your flipped instructional video. After you're done with your geometric forms, you're going to then move on to the contour line drawing that we discussed briefly yesterday. So remember, this is the example. This is what we talked about doing, and it's kind of hard to see. The color is not coming through all the way. Anyway, you're going to be doing contour lines using an analogous color scheme. And like I said yesterday, it's much easier to do your contour lines using colors than just pressure with your pencils. So you'll find this kind of easy, kind of fun. It'll be much easier to blend. So, an analogous color scheme. 3 to 4 colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So for example, you see right, oh, I got to switch my hand. Right there, I've got yellow, orange, 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 and red. So when you're thinking about an analogous color scheme, you have to think about value. Remember, darks and lights in the range in between. Your color value here, the darkest value is probably going to be, you say it. If you said red, you're right. Red is going to be your darkest color value, and then going gradually up towards yellow. Orange, yellow is going to be your lightest color value. So for my example that I'm going to be drawing for you today, you're going to be using yellow, orange as your lightest value, and red as the darkest value, and then transitioning in between with your secondary colors and tertiary colors. When you select your color pencils, you can do any analogous color scheme you would like on the color wheel, making sure that you keep it small. So you can do from violet up to red. That always works really nicely. You can go from violet up to green, or really just kind of keep it a little bit smaller with blues and greens. Greens and yellows, reds to yellows. So you can kind of keep it concise. Some folks in past have gone all the way from violet to yellow. Is that analogous? Yes. Is that a lot to deal with? Absolutely. I would keep it 3 to 4 colors. Remember, you're overlapping colors, so you're only going to be selecting a couple color pencils to work with. So keep that in mind. So, analogous color scheme for your contour line drawing. So let me show you how to set it up. Here it goes. We're going down. We're flipping around, so it'll be upright. Okay, so when you set up your paper, you're going to be doing some nice light lines with a regular old pencil. And these lines should have a little bit of wave to them. Nothing too dramatic though. The more wobbly you try to make them, the worse off you're going to be. These lines should go from edge to edge or from a line back to an edge. What you're trying to achieve are kind of triangular shapes. And you want the shapes to be about 2 to 3 inches at base, and obviously they're going to get skinnier as they go towards the top of the triangular shape. So again, a space like this is way too big. That's about 11 inches long. This is a 12 by 12 inch piece of paper. Again, you want the bases to be about 2 to 3 inches, such as that. Again, just a little wave, not a lot of wave. So you can be kind of lazy in your application of this. All right, so once you've broken up your space, you're going to then put some guidelines in. Your guidelines need to point upward from your edge. So make sure that these guidelines, these arcs are curving up. When you do that, do it very light. Just like when we did geometric forms, you don't want the guidelines to be showing. So you can knock out a few of these to get you started. So for my color value, I've selected red, and then in the color pencil box, there's red, orange, orange, and then yellow. With light values such as yellow, yellow should always be working with its color that it's next to, whether it's a yellow green or a yellow orange. Yellow on its own will give you an edge that you don't want. It'll give you an implied line that you don't want, and that's not cute. So always have it mixed up with the guy that lives next door. All right, so I'm going to go in there with my darker color value, and all I'm doing is I'm, just like I did with cylinders, just like I did with cones, is I'm using my darkest color value and I'm filling in towards the arc, towards the top point of my form. I'm going to go in from the left and I'm going to go in from the right. Turn your paper to make it easy. And again, you want it nice and heavy towards the base of that shape, and then you want it kind of spreading apart at the top of the form. You're going to go in there and do a few passes Okay, so we're going to get started that way. So already I've got some sort of bend going on in my shape. I'm going to go in there with my next, and just real light, I'm going to overlap where my lines start to spread apart. I'm going to overlap and I'm going to slowly creep up towards the arc or towards the pinnacle of the top of my form that I'm making over here. You want the colors to overlap. You want them to blend. If you have them right next to each other, real rigid, it's going to look real rigid. So then now I'm going to go back and forth, kind of like a windshield wiper, fill in some of those white gaps with my lighter, my next to lightest color value, which is some of that orange, and then I'm going to hit it, blending. Remember, you want to blend. You don't want yellow to exist on its own. You're going to go back and forth, fill in some of those white gaps, and have that yellow existing on its own. You can pull that yellow down into the red. It'll help kind of blend everything because yellow and red are friends. They're all in the same kind of family group together. I'm going to go back there. I don't want any white spaces on my edges. So I'm going to go back there, kind of pull that red back in. So that's a small sample. You would work all the way down to the bottom edge. You would work all the way top. Your highlight is going to get skinnier as your surface area gets smaller, and your shadow generally stays kind of the same. You'll have to adjust as your area gets smaller. So that's about it. That's what you're working on. If you have any quick questions, ask me. If they're how to do it questions, watch the video again. Okay. All right. Thank you. Goodbye. Love you. Goodbye. Goodbye.